Hey everybody, this is Lee at Fresh Astrology. We're looking at Libra for September 2019. And so I'm trying this live thing. I do this on Facebook all the time, but I don't really use it here. So a little new to it, but it seems to work the same way. So what I'm going to do here, like even if you're not live, my understanding is you can watch this later. So what we're doing here is I'm going to just read to you some of the stuff that's happening in September. And I'll tell you where I'm reading it from so you can go look for yourself. It's a great resource. It's cafeastrology.com, and you just go to their current transits. And that's because I could do a lot of work to figure this out, but I don't feel like it. And so you use the technology you have, go to other resources, and you can look it up here. And then where I do my work is I look at the chart and then I translate to you what I'm seeing. But I do that myself on the chart. But first, I'm just going to read to you what I see here. So September 10th, Jupiter is quincunx the true node. So Jupiter action and the true node. So we'll talk about that later. Full moon in Pisces on September 14th. And September 14th, hypertesia. You're waiting for Aquarius. Good. Okay. So September 14th, full moon in Pisces, Mercury enters Libra on the same day. On the same day, Venus also enters Libra. So that's kind of a hot spot in the month. And then September 18th, we have Saturn direct, Saturn direct on the 18th. We'll talk about that a little. September 21st, Jupiter square Neptune. So again, we have Jupiter. And then we also have this Neptune thing going on. So we'll talk about that. Then September 23rd, Sun enters Libra. And yay, happy birthday, Libra. Then September 28th, Saturn opposition true node. On the same day, we have new moon in Libra. All right. So that's the lineup. And let's see. Let's go to your chart. So when I'm quiet, I'm doing this in real time. I can't cut out, normally I'll edit out if I'm silent for a long time looking at the chart. I'll edit that out. You're in real time with me. So astrology is slow. It can be a slow thing. So let me see here. I'm also looking at the 14th specifically to really see what's going on. All right. So on the 14th, we have that full moon. And in Virgo, I was talking about this a lot because full moons, there's this idea that you release things on the full moon. Well, I think sometimes that can sound annoying, to me, if I think of it for advice for me, because the truth is we don't just let things go. Humans hang on to things, and for good reason. It helps with our survival, actually. But you don't just, I just let it go. I mean, it's sort of psychotic to actually think that you would just let something go. But you can reframe things. You can heal, slowly but surely, we're using the image of a teaspoon. Like if, there's just all this toxic stuff from your past or pain or hurt, sadness, you just take a little drop or a little spoonful and release that. And that's why we have so many full moons. It's a gift because we're not expected to just all in one go, just be willing to and able to, even if we're willing to just let everything go. Sometimes we can have a more significant release feeling, like we've just been lightened by 50 pounds because we let go of something really heavy. Sometimes we do get a more dramatic letting go moment and feeling and result. But for most people, it's just, you can just try to let things go. You can be willing to let things go. And it happens slowly, and that's okay. Give yourself a lot of love for, the fact that you're even willing to let something go. But it may not be that you just snapped your fingers and magically let something go. That would be great. But I think the reason we have so many full moons is so we can do it over time and do it in a kind of a cycle, kind of a step-by-step way. So for a Libra, this the full moon. Okay, I'm staring here. So it's happening in this area of the chart. I'm just going to rearrange the chart for a minute. Sorry. This is the downside to being live, is I'm going to monkey around with the chart a little bit behind the scenes. I'm still here. I'm just moving the chart around. And this is the stuff, when I don't do these live, I edit this out and you don't see it. But okay, here we go. That's better. That's more what I wanted. Okay. All right, so we're looking at September 14th. We're looking at this full moon in Pisces. It's when Mercury enters your sign and Venus enters your sign. So it's kind of a moment for you. When Mercury comes into your sign, you're suddenly able to talk with more clarity. You're able to have conversations you weren't able to have before. Venus enters your sign. It just is a feel-good moment for Libra because that is your patron planet. There's still something wrong about the way this chart's presenting. But anyway, we'll still move forward with it. So it's a moment for you when something big is going on in your home zone and in your family. So there could be a big real estate transaction going on. But if it's not real estate, it's a big move. And by big move, it doesn't mean that you're physically moving, although for many of you, it does look like a type of move. And maybe the physical moving isn't happening on that exact day, but there's some kind of big shift for you psychologically. This is a big psychological move. So whatever's going on in your home and family and what home means to you, there's a big shift in what home actually means to many Libras. Whatever is going on for you, it's also very deeply psychological and maybe even spiritual. The two are intertwined. You're never, your spiritual self is deeply intertwined with everything else going on for you, every other part of you. So you can never really escape your spiritual side, even if people kind of close the door to it and don't look at it. It's always there. So in a very psychological, spiritual way, there's a big shift going on for you. And it has to do with concepts of family, home, real estate, money. And then what's going on for you, there's some big changes going on in your mind. So it could be a time of tremendous growth for many Libras, tremendous growth. And there's maybe even some new work that you're looking at or taking on. You might see yourself or the possibility for yourself to be more of a healer. For some of you, it's more of an artist, that you're more of an artist. For some of you, you're realizing what a good businesswoman or businessman you are. Like, wow, I really have a head for business. Some of you could be saying that. But there's a lot here about the question, if you haven't answered it already for yourself, the question could come, I wonder if I could help others. How might I help others? do I have a part of me that wants to be a healer? And a healer doesn't have to be a doctor. A healer doesn't have to be a nurse. A healer doesn't have to be a chiropractor or a massage therapist or a therapist. A healer can be interpreted very broadly. It's more, how can I help others transform? This question may be coming to you. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hi, lovely to see you too. Romania, wonderful. Hi. You're waiting. So some people waiting on Aquarius. It's going to be a while. Lovely to see you guys here too. Okay. So I'm just so glad you guys are here. This is kind of an experiment. I don't even know how it works, but anyway, so this is a moment of opening and major transition for a Libra. So it, again, like I said, it could be anything going on for you, but I think some big elements of the transition have to do with home and family. So one Libra person I know very well, who's a dear friend, is leaving the country. She's moving away forever. Not that she can't visit again, but she's really planning to have her life now be in a different country. It's huge because, you know, she's my age. It's one thing if you're 20 and you do that. It's another thing if you're my age and you do that. But it's a big transformative moment for her. And, you know, she has family that's still here. And, you know, she had to get rid of her home and all her, you know, figure out what to do with all her possessions. And it's a major, major moment. And psychologically, it takes a lot of courage. And it takes a lot to be able to do what she's doing. And so that speaks to that deep transformative psychological experience that a lot of Libras are having right now. But because of where Uranus is in your 8th house, and because this is so home oriented, some people could be making major transformations because of a divorce or as a result of divorce. So it doesn't mean you're getting divorced now. For some of you, it could, if you've been in a long-term relationship. But some people, this major transformation could be as a result of, because Uranus was in and is no longer in your 7th house, but was. And so when Uranus went over this sort of, through this doorway, over this threshold into the 8th house, it's symbolized for many Libras that a definitive end to something that was a relationship. It could have been a work relationship. It could have been a love relationship. It could have been a very important friendship. And it could have been all of it kind of mixed up in one big ball, kind of messy ball. So it's a major transformation. And I think the Libras who are using this energy well are going with the flow, like understanding that transitions need to happen, big change needs to happen, family's just going to look different, home's just going to look different, and you take it and make it into something you really want. You can take a situation that's dissolving and then look out, or look in and see, what do I really want? I don't have what I used to have, but what do I really want? What do I need? What feels good to me? And then go after that. Have the courage to go after that. So the North Node is in this area of the 10th house in career. It's also your public life and how people will see you very differently, or could be seeing you very differently. And you could be turning yourself into a different, more authentic version of yourself. Some Libras are peeling off the layers of the past, layers that may have been less authentic to who they were. And we all do this. We're born into societies pretty much across the world, maybe not every single society, but most societies require of us that we cover ourselves up layer by layer as we grow. And then suddenly we're this adult with many layers of inauthenticity, where we're carrying them around every day like a big disguise. And the true node, North Node up at the top of the chart, is about if you're using it well, if you're using this energy well, in a good way, you start to peel off the layers, and you're willing to be seen for who you are, and maybe just transform into something you've always wanted to be, but not because it's fake and doesn't belong with your, who you're about, but because it is the real you. What have you not allowed yourself to do? I guess what I would ask of a client, somebody working with me personally, what have you not allowed yourself to be or do because you felt it wasn't the right time? Women don't do that. Men don't do that. I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. It's too late. I'm too old. What are you not allowing? That's really you, the part of you that really wants to express itself. What are you not allowing that part of you to do would be my question to you. So when I'm quiet, I'm just thinking, what else can we work on here? A lot of you are feeling very drawn to, well, you're communicating. A lot of you, for whatever reason, you're just highly communicative. Libras are highly communicative anyway, for the most part. Maybe not every Libra, but you tend to be communicators because you always want to be in relationship, and you're always trying to figure out what people want, how to please people. Libras can definitely lean toward people pleasing. But lately, you guys are so communicative that maybe you're even wanting to write or to speak publicly, but you're definitely wanting to self-express, and you're very good at it at this moment. Not that haven't always been good at it, but right now is a time to really shine. And I wonder if some of you are even taking careers that allow you to verbalize and talk and express yourself more. There is a slight, with Jupiter here in Sagittarius, some of you could be in a set of legal issues. Maybe, if you would have gone through a divorce or have gone through property issues, maybe where you need to use the legal system. So some of you are using the law in your personal lives to resolve some things. Some of you may actually be working in the area of law, and that could be what's increasing here. But regardless, you're communicating more with family, cousins, siblings, possibly. Just talking more to neighbors, something about a neighborhood, new neighbors, for those of you moving. But the sense of the idea of community is very important to you, especially if, like my friend, some of you are leaving a community. This idea of community becomes even more important. How do you keep it in place? We have so many tools now, with technology, with, computers and our phones, to stay in community and talk to each other, even if we're at a distance. Sometimes we just have to use those tools. But there is this idea of self-expression and growing that ability to speak up for yourself, to say what you think, say what you feel, to be more transparent, show more of who you are. That's the big message, I would say, for Libra. Libra rising, I see here, just needs a little break. Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that concept of a break. And that's because no matter what is going on, because watching me are going to be Libras who are 19, Libras who are 60, Libras who are somewhere in between, with many different situations. But what's very true is this Saturn and Pluto in the 4th house that is causing some disruption in home and family and transformation there also feels very heavy in this house. In the 4th house at the bottom of the chart is the psychological house. And you also have Uranus in the 8th house, another deeply psychological house, kind of exposing your fears, shaking up and exposing your fears for you, hopefully, to process one by one. And again, it's like that little dropper full approach. If you have a lot of fears and neuroses and anxiety, will you get rid of it overnight? Absolutely not. You just notice what's there, like, oh, I'm anxious about this, or I seem to be more nervous than usual, or I seem to be more anxious, or my fears are really getting triggered. First step is just notice that. like, wow, I'm getting triggered easily. And the minute you do that, you step away from it just by a little bit. The minute you can notice it as a separate thing, because it actually is, like the real you is not, like your spirit isn't anxious. Your soul isn't anxious. It's some other part of you. And what can notice that you're anxious is more aligned with your spirit and your soul, which is the real you. And so the minute you can just like open your inner eye and see, wow, I'm really getting triggered, or I'm really anxious, you remove yourself from the anxiety just a little bit. And so it's a good time to do some looking within in that particular way, with intention, intentionally looking within, with this idea that I am not my thoughts. I have thoughts. Thoughts go through my awareness, but I am not my thoughts. They move through like a river, but I am not the river. I am this eternal being that can notice my thoughts and see that they're there, but I am not my thoughts. I am not my fears. They're there. I can see them, but they don't define me. They're not my true essence, but I see them. I can experience anxiety, but I am not, by definition, anxiety. I can experience it. I can have anxious thoughts that are out here in front of me. I can kind of see them, but I am not, my essence isn't anxiety. I am just an eternal being having this human experience, and I can experience anxiety. I can experience fear. I can experience thinking and thoughts, but I am not defined by them. They're just there, and I can experience them. So I think for Libras experiencing some triggering and anxiety around money, around home, around family, around the past, or just generalized anxiety, this is a good trick to start realizing and practicing the understanding that you are not the anxiety. The anxiety is a separate thing you can experience, just like you could go to a museum and experience the museum, or you could go to, a fair and experience being at a street fair, or a fair with a bunch of rides and games. You can experience that, but you're not the fair. You're not the rides. You're not the museum, but you can experience that. Anxiety, depression, fear, it's all the same way. You can go to the Museum of Fear and experience it, but you're separate from it. You can realize you're separate from it. And you can realize if you're feeling fearful or anxious, like I have just walked into the Museum of Fear and Anxiety. I think I'm going to leave now. Or isn't this an interesting place to be? What makes it a museum of anxiety? What makes it a museum of depression? Let me look around. What kind of artworks are here that make it this? Let me study it. I know I can leave at any time. I am not the museum. The museum is not me. I'm entering this place to experience it. Let me look around. Okay, I've looked around enough. I think I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk into the sunlight now. So you have choice around this. And I just think it's really important for a Libra to know that you don't have to stay in the Museum of Anxiety and Fear. You can visit, look around, notice that it's there, and you can leave and come back when you need to. But know that you are not, it doesn't, just like you go to a museum of art, the art doesn't kill you. The art doesn't do what you can just reflect upon it. But it doesn't leave with you unless you're really influenced by a painting or a piece of art. Oh, good. So somebody's saying that Uranus in the 8th house is heavy, but not as bad as Uranus in the 7th. Yes, that would be true. So other people going through changes, some good, some bad. And hopefully that's it too, and Libras are good at seeing this. Libras are very good at seeing the balance. So notice that as many bad things may have happened or could be happening, notice the good, notice the balance. Notice that there is a balance there. That's a good observation. And of course it would be a Libra. Uh, how long will Saturn be disrupting the family house? It's a slow mover. Saturn is not disrupting as much as it is showing you and helping you learn from it. Pluto's the disruptor more than Saturn is. So now we have them together. What Pluto wants here in the house of family and the past, and it's a deeply psychological house too. It's what you have always held to be true and dear, and like, because the way we grew up, we learn how life is supposed to be. We learn this construct based on what culture you're from about how life is supposed to be. Pluto's come through to disrupt, like totally knock that down. Like, life isn't like this. That's just what you were told. That's what you were expecting, but that's not really how life is. So let's tear away the illusion. Pluto's been knocking down all your illusions. But now it wants, because especially, even in another sign, Pluto would want this, but especially in Capricorn, it wants you to rebuild what it really is. So family and your life and your home life weren't what you thought, and they don't hold up to what you thought they should be. Now it's time to rebuild. Well, what if it isn't that? What can it be? It's not what it should be. In fact, you should get rid of that language or expectation, but what can it be? What could home look like? What could family look like? What is the essence of family? What is the essence of home? What is the essence of family? What is the essence of home? I think those are the ways to start looking, because what you'll find is, if you look at it that way, that it's not bricks and mortar, it's not the structure, it's not even the people, it's what's going on in here and in your thoughts, and how you have control over what home and family can be within yourself. You can frame it however you want to, and you have complete control over how you frame it for yourself. And, that old expression, home is where the heart is, I think it came out of exactly what's going on for Libra. You carry your heart. You never leave home. Home can never be taken away from you. Home is where your heart is. Nobody can take your heart. It's always with you. It never leaves you, and you never leave it. You never are stripped away from your actual home. There's never a separation from your actual living space, because your true living space is in your heart. So that's where that expression, that's why we have that expression. And you're learning the lessons with Saturn of this. Like, this is such a lesson. You're learning the lessons of where home true, what is the essence of home? What is the essence of family? It's deep. I mean, sometimes Libras in their lifetime love to just kind of skirt along the surface. They don't want to deal with the deeper issues, and Libras are being forced for an extended amount of time to deal with stuff on a deeper level. And you've gotten better at it. You've had Pluto here for a while, and Saturn for a little while, and you're getting better at this, grappling with this deeper part of life and living there, living underneath the surface, living in the depths, and you're getting good at it. It's a great lesson. It's great growth time for Libras. Let's see what else. Daphne, so yes, you're getting with the cry face, you're getting the Libra lesson. Uranus in the seventh changed so much, as it will. Yeah. So let me see if there's anything else I can add here. The new moon that happens at the end of the month. Let's close on this. So the new moon happening at the end of the month is a time of complete renewal for you. And it's a renewal in so many ways. In a lot of ways, you come out of your head and back into reality in a new way. And it may be in this new home, it may be in a new place, or it may just be with a whole new vision and way of framing your reality that hopefully works for you. Just realize you can rebuild it to be what you want it to be. What could home mean? What could family mean? What in a whole new paradigm, taking away every expectation. What could it be? It could be anything. And the reality, the deep reality is home is where your heart is. You're never stripped from it. It's never stripped from you. Even people who are being forced to flee from an area, as tragic as that is, and if anybody watching is in such a situation where you're being forced to flee or pushed away from something you love, a homeland or people, just know that you, in your true essence, you can never be stripped from that. Nobody can ever take that from you. You always have a home. So let's end on that note. Libra, you always, always have a home. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, good. All right, guys. I'm seeing cry faces and and hands together. So, all right, remember, nobody can ever take your home from you, your true home. All right, take care, guys.